This video is brought to you by the Deck of Many and Humblewood.net. This video is also brought to you by trollandtoad.com. Trollandtoad.com is the world's largest online retail store for D&D and Pathfinder Battles miniatures, new and old. Use the coupon code GOBLIN for 5% off your order of all D&D and Pathfinder minis. Welcome back to the Gallant Goblin. I'm Theo, and today we're taking a look at one of our most requested sets, Storm King's Thunder, which originally released in the fall of 2016. This is one of the few sets to include huge-sized minis, which of course is very appropriate for an adventure featuring giants. There will be some very minor spoilers for the adventure included in this video, but I will try to avoid giving story or character spoilers beyond what's in the advertising for the adventure. If you plan to be a player in this adventure and you want to stay 100% spoiler-free, then you may want to tune out now. Still with me? All right. Well, in Storm King's Thunder, the various giant races are shaken out of their complacency and begin incursions into the civilizations of man. It's up to the player characters to determine what's happening and put a stop to it. Before we jump in, I wanted to let you know that we just launched our new website over at gallantgoblin.com. We have a lot of plans for it, but for right now, we're going to focus on tabletop RPG news and text reviews for products that may not need the full video treatment. So go check it out now and let me know what you think. But for now, let's take a closer look at Storm King's Thunder. Intellect Devourers are created by mind flayers from the brain of one of their thralls to serve as guards or hunters around their domain. As their name suggests, Intellect Devourers feed on the intellect of their victims, sometimes even totally consuming their brain. They are then able to teleport inside the skull of their victim and use the body as a puppet. They gain all of the knowledge of their victim and use that to lure other unsuspecting victims further into the territory of the Mind Flayer, providing their master with possible new thralls. An Intellect Devourer has a CR of 2 and is found in the Monster Manual, though don't let its low CR value deceive you. With a few lucky rolls, an Intellect Devourer can totally destroy the mind of a hapless adventurer. Intellect Devourers are found in many adventures, including Dungeon of the Mad Mage, Dragon Heist, and Ravnica. Despite their whimsical and playful appearance, sprites are hardy warriors not known for their warmth or hospitality. Sprites are fey creatures who generally serve as guards for their villages, which are built into the treetops of verdant groves. When interlopers come near, they create distracting sounds in the nearby brush, breaking twigs and rustling leaves, hoping to lead the intruders astray. If they persist in moving toward their homes, the sprites unleash a flurry of poison arrows which can put a person to sleep. Sprites are able to magically discern the inner motivations of creatures, and when they discover good aligned adventurers attempting to root out evil, the sprites may lend their support to the adventurer's cause. A sprite has a CR of 1/4 and can be found in the basic rules. They can be summoned with a Conjure Fey or a Conjure Woodland Being spell. One may appear in Storm King's Thunder, and they are listed as Izzet creatures in Ravnica. Darkmantles are small monstrosities that cling to the ceilings of caverns in the Underdark. They wait, silent and still, for an unsuspecting adventurer to pass underneath. As the Darkmantle falls, a magical darkness emanates from it, plunging the area around it into complete darkness, as the Darkmantle engulfs the head of its victim, slowly crushing it. They can also be found in large swarms in the Shadowfell, where some enterprising creatures even train them to serve as guards. Darkmantles have a CR of 1/2 and appear in Dungeon of the Mad Mage and Out of the Abyss. Create Homunculus is a 6th-level wizard spell which involves cutting yourself with a jewel-encrusted dagger worth at least 1,000 gold pieces, and then dripping your blood onto a mixture of clay, ash, and mandrake root. After an hour, you will have created a faithful squirrel-sized companion called a homunculus. You are able to sacrifice some of your own HP to increase the health of your new friend, which in reality is more of an extension of yourself. You share thoughts, senses, and language. Unlike familiars, the homunculus can be sent great distances from its creator and still share senses with him or her. With a flying speed of 40 feet, it can make a great spy, scout, or messenger. It can also just look super cute riding around on your shoulder. The player character minis in this set are all given names rather than generic titles like Human Ranger. They do not appear in the adventure or in any other D&D product, with the exception of one character we'll mention later. According to Mike Merles, these heroes are, quote, a gang of giant hunters they created as part of the art concept process. An article in Game Trade magazine does seem to provide some lore for these giant slayer adventurers. Cazi is described like this: a wild elf who likes to talk loudly and carry a big stick. Cazi's giant bow, Big Banta, is custom made for hunting large monsters, including dragons and giants, and she can wield it with deadly effect. Crag Ungart, our second player character mini, is described like this in Game Trade magazine. Crag Ungart is a shield dwarf whose keen strategic mind makes him an efficient but detached leader. This generic and heavily armored dwarf has landed on my table several times as a player character mini or dwarf NPC in various towns, festivals, and inns. While no giant frogs appear in the text of Storm King's Thunder, they can be summoned into being with a Conjure Fey or Conjure Animal spell. Giant frogs are considered medium creatures, so about the size of a person. They're able to bite foes to grapple them. They can swallow creatures that are size small or smaller. They appear in swamps and forests and are considered beasts. A giant frog has a CR of 1/4. They also appear in Hoard of the Dragon Queen, Dungeon of the Mad Mage, Tales from the Yawning Portal, Tomb of Annihilation, and in random swamp encounters. Just like scarecrows in the real world, these constructed beings are placed in fields and imbued with the spirits of slain evil creatures to guard an area against intruders, either scaring them away or ripping them to shreds. Scarecrows follow the orders of the being that created them, even past their creator's death. A scarecrow can frighten foes with its sackcloth visage and rend their flesh with razor-sharp claws. A scarecrow has a CR of 1 and is found in Curse of Strahd, Tomb of Annihilation, Dragon Heist, and Acquisitions Incorporated. Kenku minis are hard to come by, which is a shame because they can make very interesting and challenging player characters and NPCs. Kenkus were released as a playable race in Volo's Guide to Monsters. An ancient curse removed their ability to fly, their spark of creativity, and their ability to make spontaneous speech. They are only able to mimic things that are said to them. This can make role-playing challenging, as just mimicking your other players can get real old real fast. Volo's Guide provides advice on how to play a Kenku character without annoying your tablemates, such as by narrating the gestures that your Kenku makes and what they're intending to convey. For other Kenku minis, you can use the Critical Role Kiri mini from Steamforged Games, the Tengu Pathfinder mini from Skull and Shackles, or the Kenku Adventurer minis in Nolzur's marvelous unpainted minis. This demonic, shape-shifting fiend looks a bit like what would happen if you left Lumiere from Beauty and the Beast out in the sun too long. Yochlols are referred to as handmaidens of Lolth, carrying out her desires and acting as her eyes and ears in the world. They form and live in the demon web pits where the Spider Queen resides, but when they are sent into the material world on task for the Drow goddess, they may assume the form of a female drow or giant spider to concede their demonic nature. It's also highly poisonous and has the ability to turn into poison mist. Yochlols have a CR of 10 and are found in Out of the Abyss and Dungeon of the Mad Mage. Hellhounds are pretty much precisely that, fiends who have taken the form of dogs to serve an evil master. In Storm King's Thunder, that master is a fire giant. Hellhounds have an innate instinct to hunt and consume prey, and they will leave their master if they aren't allowed to indulge in their evil inclinations from time to time. They have pact tactics to gain advantage on their prey, and can breathe fire, giving them an overall CR of 3. Hellhounds are found in Storm King's Thunder, Descent into Avernus, Curse of Strahd, and Acquisitions Incorporated. Bandits are ubiquitous in D&D campaigns. Nary an adventure occurs without a group of enterprising bandits blocking off an important road and demanding a toll from those who wish to pass by. So bandit minis are quite useful to have around. Let's start with the leader of this group of ne'er-do-wells, the Bandit Captain. The basic rules give the Bandit Captain a multi-attack with a scimitar and dagger, as well as the ability to parry incoming blows. He has an overall CR of 2. One interesting bit of psychology that's offered in the rulebook is that the Bandit Captains are often driven more by pride and ego than by material gain. Contributing to their infamy may help you escape with your life, and possibly even your purse. The standard bandit lacks the multi-attack and the parry ability, dropping its overall CR to 1/8. The rulebook also points out that bandits are not even necessarily evil creatures out to gain an evil reputation or make a quick buck by raiding a passing caravan. Some may be driven by desperation. Perhaps drought, orc raids, or other unfortunate events have forced them to prey on others as a last resort. These minis would also work as pirates, who are, if nothing else, the bandits of the high seas. Thri-kreen are intelligent insectoid humanoids who are found primarily in arid grassland and desert regions. Communication with them by other races is very difficult, as their language is composed of the clicking of their mandibles and the subtle waving of their antennae. Without magical assistance, most races have to resort to drawing pictures in the sand if they want to communicate with a Thri-kreen, though many never get that chance, as Thri-kreen are isolationists who prefer to keep their distance. While they aren't evil, they do view most other creatures as a potential source of nutrients. They have a particular predilection for the taste of elf flesh, but who can really blame them for that? Thri-kreen are detailed in the monster manual with a variety of different weapon and attack options. They have a CR of 1. I do not believe the Thri-kreen have appeared in any official D&D adventures so far for 5e. Like the Thri-kreen, Githzerai are an interesting choice for this Storm King's Thunder set, as they do not appear in the adventure. The Gith race was added as a playable race in Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. The Gith are divided into two factions, the brutal and warlike Githyanki, and the scholarly, psionically powerful Githzerai, who know the Mage Hand cantrip and who will learn the spells Detect Thoughts and Shield as they gain levels. Githzerai generally live in seclusion in the plane of Limbo, and while they abhor violence, they have no misgivings about sending out squads to destroy Mind Flayer colonies, as they were one of the many races to be enslaved by the Mind Flayers in the distant past. There are many different stat blocks for Githzerai NPCs, but a Githzerai Monk has a CR of 2. They appear in Dungeon of the Mad Mage and Rakma. Their history is explained in detail in Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. Kleef Kenric is our outlier PC mini. He actually is a pre-existing character in D&D lore, though, like the others, he is not appearing in this adventure. Kleef was a protagonist of a D&D novel released in 2014 by Troy Denning called The Sentinel. Here's part of the summary of the book. Embittered paladin Kleef Kenric is on a quest to stop evil forces from taking advantage of the chaos rolling across the land of Faerun and claiming dominion over the entirety of the realms. Stubbornly clinging to his family's worship of a long-forgotten god, Kleef Kenric soon discovers that his god has blessed him with divine gifts, making him one of a new group of chosen, cropping up around the realms. This divine gift makes him an excellent ally, and a target for those who wish to corral his powers. The book has nothing to do with Storm King's Thunder, but like some of the other minis, art of Kleef does appear in the adventure, though he is not mentioned in the text. Wights are intelligent undead creatures who resemble ambulatory armored corpses wielding weapons. You'd be forgiven for getting all the various types of undead in D&D confused. I certainly do. Wights and wraiths and zombies and specters and ghosts, there's enough undead to keep all the versions of the Ghostbusters in business. Keith Amon over at the Monsters Know What They're Doing blog does a good job of breaking it down for us. Ghouls and ghast are flesh eaters. Specters, wights, and wraiths are life drainers. Wights are corporeal, tough, and angry. They drain the life out of their foe as they attack, and anyone killed by their life drain rises again the next night as a zombie under the wights' control. Wights have a CR of 3, and their stat block is found in the basic rules. They appear in many adventures, like Storm King's Thunder, Tales from the Yawning Portal, and Rise of Tiamat. Yuan-ti are our next inexplicable, if not unwelcome, addition to this set. While they feature prominently in Tomb of Annihilation, and to a lesser extent Rise of Tiamat, they do not appear in Storm King's Thunder. The Yuan-ti used to be a part of a human civilization that prided itself on separating their emotions from their intellectual pursuits, a trait that they thought elevated them above all other civilizations. The Yuan-ti were seduced by the serpent gods into human sacrifice and cannibalism. The Yuan-ti now have a mix of human and snake-like parts, though there is much variation from individual to individual. The Yuan-ti Pureblood, as seen here, are almost indistinguishable from humans, but upon closer inspection, they continue to bear signs of their lineage, from scaly patches of skin, to serpentine eyes, to a forked tongue. They are considered the lowest caste in Yuan-ti society and also the most numerous of the Yuan-ti. Yuan-ti Pureblood was made a playable race in Volo's Guide to Monsters. Azers are one of my favorite creatures. They are elementals bound in a suit of armor, making them look like dwarves, which is appropriate because they are some of the finest crafters in the multiverse. They can be found in a mountainous border region where the elemental planes of fire and earth overlap. Each new Azer is uniquely crafted by an already existing Azer, but this is done rarely, so Azers are hard to come by. They are sometimes called forth to the material plane in order to seek their assistance on a particularly challenging crafting job. Azers used to be allies with the Ifrit and actually helped them create the City of Brass, but the Ifrit betrayed the Azers in the end, attempting to enslave them. So if you need to find a way to break into the City of Brass undetected, you may want to seek out the assistance of an Azer. Their stat block appears in the basic rules, and they have a CR of 2. They appear in Dungeon of the Mad Mage and Princes of the Apocalypse. While one doesn't appear in Storm King's Thunder, I personally added one to the Forge of the Fire Giants chapter, so if you have this many, you might as well make some sense out of it. The Winter Wolf and the Dire Wolf are two other creatures who are easily confused. While both are large creatures, the Winter Wolf is actually an evil monstrosity who frequently works with frost giants and who has a rather supernatural freezing breath attack. The Dire Wolf is an unaligned beast with more natural attacks. Winter Wolves also have a modicum of intelligence, and while they can't speak, they can understand Common and Giant. They have a CR of 3, and their stat block can be found in the basic rules. They do appear in Storm King's Thunder, as well as Rise of Tiamat and Horde of the Dragon Queen. Fomorians are described by the Monster Manual as the most hideous and wicked of all giant kind, which is saying a lot. They are very much deformed, misshapen, and warty, and their evil dispositions match their ugly exteriors. However, in the distant past, the Fomorians were known as one of the most beautiful and handsome races, with brilliant minds and magical aptitude to match. However, they were also lustful for power. When they attempted to conquer the Feywild, the realm banded together, cursed the Fomorians so that their exterior matched their vile hearts, and then drove them back to the material plane. Now they mostly reside in the Underdark, plotting their revenge against the Fey. They have a CR of 8, and 1 appears in Out of the Abyss. Our first true giant. This adventure is about the breaking down of the hierarchy among the giants, and each of the various giant clans clamoring to claw their way to the top of the pecking order. Fire giants are known for their ability to forge mighty weapons of war and organize themselves into a fearsome military force. Each giant clan in this adventure has a leader, and with multiple fire giants included, this many would be good to represent the head of the fire giants, Duke Zalto. Fire giants have a CR of 9. While all of the giants are detailed in the basic rules, Storm King's Thunder provides some additional information and attacks for each type, and Volo's Guide to Monsters provides additional giant varieties. Cloud giants occupy the second ring from the top of the giant hierarchy, second only to the storm giants. There is great variation in cloud giant society, with alignments that span the spectrum, though most cloud giants are aloof from the day-to-day lives of men, happy to stay high above the world in their castles in the clouds. Being attuned to the sky and air, they're one of the most magically potent of the giant races, able to turn into mist and create fog. Cloud giant minis are underrepresented in the Icons of the Realms line, so these two varieties will have to suit most of your cloud giant needs, though a mini for the cloud giant leader is also included later in this set. Cloud giants also have a CR of 9. Like the fire giants, frost giants are strong, fierce warriors, though that's where the similarities end. Where fire giants forge great weapons of war and form regimented military operations, the frost giants board their great longships and pillage along the coastlines to take everything they need. Crafting and farming are not in their DNA. This set does not include a special mini for the frost giant leader, though it does include one for another important NPC we'll get to later. Frost giants have a CR of 8. They also appear in Rise of Tiamat, Tomb of Annihilation, and Tales from the Yawning Portal. Stone giants are contemplative, long-lived artists and artisans who rarely bother with other creatures unless they are disturbed. They almost exclusively live underground, where they may work on a single piece of art or sculpture for years. They also prize athleticism, such as climbing and hurling boulders. Stone giants found on the surface world may behave somewhat erratically, as they see the outdoors as more of a dreamscape where nothing is permanent, true, or important. Those who spend too much time in the outdoors may lose all touch with reality. These are the only stone giant minis in this set. There is no special mini for the stone giant leader, Caelithica. Stone giants have a CR of 7. A stone giant also appears in Dungeon of the Mad Mage. Hill giants occupy the lowest rung of the giant pecking order. They are also the shortest and the dumbest of the giant clans. Hill giants care for little more than finding their next meal. They consider their girth to be their most important characteristic, and generally see the largest hill giant as being the one in charge. They are superstitious and easily bamboozled. While these are the only hill giants in this set, the hill giant leader, Chief Ga, is the premium figure for this set. You can click the eye in the corner of the screen for our review of her. Hill giants have a CR of 5. They also appear in Tales from the Yawning Portal. Here are our Fire Giant Infantry minis, assuming you're using the previous Fire Giant to represent their leader, Duke Zalto. Another important thing to know about Fire Giants is that they frequently conquer and enslave humanoids to deal with the more mundane tasks of running an empire, namely mining ore, harvesting crops, and growing livestock. They may also bring slaves to court who are experts in fields that the Fire Giants do not excel in, such as magic, bookkeeping, and scribing. Solara is another player character mini. According to the Game Trade magazine article, she makes up 1/3 of the team known as Hook, Line, and Sinker. Here's her description. Solara Thann is a paladin who has taken an oath to protect the natural order, and giants smashing the world are not part of the plan. She prefers straight-up melee combat, but is patient enough to hang back and let Lei's traps do their work. We'll talk more about Lei in a moment. Solara is our first rare figure, so you'll only get one of her in a case. She's another mini I use as a random tavern NPC from time to time. Man, hags are great. Hiding in the shadows, manipulating others, terrorizing villagers. There's so much storytelling possibility. Night hags were originally from the Feywild, but were banished to Hades many generations ago, where they degenerated into fiends. Now they're found throughout the lower planes. They thrive on corrupting virtue. They want to turn a person's love into unbridled obsession, devotion into sacrifice. They can travel into the ethereal plane where they're able to manipulate a person's dreams unseen, filling their mind with doubt and fear. If she can manipulate her victim into committing evil acts and then kill it in its dreams, she can trap its soul in her soul bag and take it back down to the lower planes. Night hags have a CR of 5, and their stat block is in the basic rules. They appear in Curse of Strahd, Descent into Avernus, Dungeon of the Mad Mage, Tomb of Annihilation, Eberron Rising from the Last War, and Ghost of Saltmarsh. Though, again, not Storm King's Thunder. There are 3 types of Yuan-ti Malisons. Those who have the bottom half of a snake, the head of a snake, or the arms of a snake. They make up the middle caste of Yuan-ti society. They can each polymorph into a snake form. Each type of Yuan-ti has its variations in the stat block included in Volo's Guide to Monsters. This Yuan-ti, with a snake's head, is considered Type 1. It's able to multi-attack with its scimitar or longbow and make a single bite attack which can cause poison damage. And this Yuan-ti, with the arms of a snake, is Type number 2. It is able to multi-attack with its arms, dealing 2 poisonous bite attacks. It is not able, though, to wield weapons, which makes it rather useless at long range. All Yuan-ti Malisons can cast Suggestion 3 times a day, and have magic resistance. The Yuan-ti life revolves around their temples and their gods, though they do not love their gods. They believe that if they can attain enough power, they'll be able to topple, devour, and replace their gods. Ascension is a prime motivator in Yuan-ti society, and they will commit dark acts to gain the necessary power to attempt it. This is considered Type number 3, a Yuan-ti Malison with a human head and upper body, but with a serpentine lower body instead of legs. This type has the ability to wrap its lower body around its victims, constricting and restraining them. Since Yuan-ti are not tremendously strong or powerful creatures, they often attempt to gain influence with the corrupting promise of wealth and power. Many fall prey to the Yuan-ti who makes promises and appears to act honorably, only to show that its actions were all a part of a grand design, and that a snake cannot forever hide its true nature. These 3 types of Malisons are detailed in the Monster Manual. Volo's Guide introduced 2 additional types, both of which are in the lower part of the Malison caste, and neither of which possess the Malison's poison in its Yuan-ti form. Type 4 is a humanoid with a snake tail, and Type 5 is a humanoid but covered in scales. Our second member of Hook, Line, and Sinker, Helena Nostrum, is described as the glue that binds the group together. Quote, "It's her iron resolve and leadership that keep the others focused and sharp. She's no stranger to the destructive power of giants and has dedicated herself to knowing how to stay one step ahead of her prey." Unquote. And looking at the contraption with which she's armed, it's not hard to imagine where her nickname Hook derived from. Let me know in the comment section down below if you think her device is something that is pre-existing in the lore or a construction of her own design. The Yuan-ti Abominations are the rarest and most powerful of the regular Yuan-ti. They're often the rulers of Yuan-ti cities. The Abominations are seen as most closely resembling the perfect form as envisioned by the Yuan-ti gods, being mostly snake-like, with arms and hands capable of wielding tools and weapons. They have similar, if more powerful, attacks and abilities to the Yuan-ti Malisons. They're also able to cast Fear twice a day. The Yuan-ti Abomination has a challenge rating of 7 and is found in the Monster Manual, and expanded upon in Volo's Guide. 2 Yuan-ti Abominations appear in Dungeon of the Mad Mage. Our last member of the Hook, Line, and Sinker, Lai Antolio, is, quote, "a master of contraptions." He's a high-strung perfectionist with a mind that never stops thinking about the next trap or technique, unquote. Lai is another rather strangely designed character, though his uniqueness may draw people to the mini. As I've mentioned in the past, one way I help new players create their first character is by placing many minis on the table and see what they're drawn to. This mini may draw many eyes. And luckily, these unusual minis, like Lai and Helena Nostrum, are rares, so you shouldn't end up with hard-to-use multiples. King Hekaton is the leader of the Storm Giants. While we get 2 important Storm Giant NPCs in this set, we do not get any generic Storm Giants. For that, you need to look to Monster Menagerie III, though this mini, King Hekaton, is one of the largest and most impressive minis in the Icons of the Realms collection outside of the premium figures. If you're in a store and find a booster box that's very heavy, it likely contains King Hekaton. Ironically, this is the only mini in the set that I received damaged, though. Mine had a broken scepter, though I was able to glue it back together. Many of the huge minis in this set come with parts that must be attached, generally a hand holding a weapon. They fit together easily and do not need to be glued, making storage a bit easier. Countess Sansuri is our cloud giant leader. She is rather unique in all her translucent cloud effects. Her pose has her leaning a bit to one side, which may be fixable by placing her under hot tap water and trying to bend her back into shape. I don't want to provide too many plot details about the giant leaders in particular, but Countess Sansuri is a powerful spellcaster, which raises her CR up to 11. This mini could easily be used for a generic cloud giant outside of this adventure. Harshnag is an important NPC Frost Giant in this adventure, though not the leader of the Frost Giant clan, who does not have a mini. Harshnag is another impressively large and solid mini who can be used as a generic Frost Giant outside of Storm King's Thunder. He may also show up in Rise of Tiamat, by the way. Harshnag is a long-existing character and is discussed in 2 lore books from previous editions of D&D, namely the Heroes lore book from 1996 and City of Splendor's Waterdeep from 2005. He has a stat block in Storm King's Thunder, which details his magical axe, Gert's Great Axe. He has a CR of 9. Emrith is another important NPC Storm Giant in this adventure. Surrounded by a lightning effect, she can make an impressive entrance onto your gaming table. She is one of the few giant minis that comes in one piece. The line on her face appears to be intentional, as she has a scar on her face in her artwork, though I do not believe anything is mentioned about it in the text of the adventure. She also has a stat block in Storm King's Thunder. This is one of those Icons of the Realm sets that includes many creatures not found in the adventure which it is nominally supporting. Actually, quite a few of these creatures appear in Tomb of Annihilation, which had its own Icons of the Realms release. Given the strange selection of creatures included in the set, you may want to consider just picking up the ones you want on the aftermarket rather than buying full bricks and cases, since so many of these creatures aren't used in the adventure. Of course, there's nothing stopping you from adding some of your own encounters with the Yochlol or the Thri-kreen or the Yuan-ti. On the other hand, if you're just trying to fill out your collection beyond just this adventure, many of the figures included in the set are hard to find anywhere else. If you are playing Storm King's Thunder, you'll definitely want the giants included in this set, but you'll also want to look at the giants included in the Monster Menagerie III set, which you can see by clicking the eye in the corner of the screen. As one of the few Icons of the Realms collections that include huge creatures, it's really satisfying to open up and find one of these giants in your booster box. Monster Menagerie III includes some giant variants that were detailed in Volo's Guide to Monsters. While they aren't included in the text of the Storm King's Thunder adventure, they're easily slotted in and make a great addition to the story. You can also use them as alternate sculpts of regular giants. You can get the Frost Giant Everlasting One, Storm Giant Quintessent, Hill Giant Mouth of Gralanter, and the Stone Giant Dreamwalker. The set also includes an alternate sculpt for the standard Frost Giant and Storm Giant. No Cloud Giants in Monster Menagerie III though. This set was released prior to the improvements we began to see in the Icons of the Realms paint jobs with the Dragon Heist set in 2018, though I didn't see any glaring problems myself. This set also includes Invisibles, so don't be surprised if you pull one or two of those out of your brick or case. The player characters each get an Invisible, as well as the Night Hag and the Bandit Captain for some reason. Storm King's Thunder is a great adventure, is actually the one my gaming group is playing through right now, so the giants in this set have seen a lot of use on my table, though maybe not many of the other minis included in the set. Let me know in the comments section down below what you think of the set. We'd like to thank our sponsors for this video. First, trollandtoad.com. It's Black Friday morning as I record this, so the prime shopping season has begun. Trollandtoad.com has a ton of deals running this weekend, so if you have any holes in your mini collection you want to fill, now is the time. They're your source for all D&D and Pathfinder minis. We've already placed an order for some of the remaining Icons of the Realms premium sets we didn't have yet, and the prices at Troll and Toad were the best around. We checked. You can use the coupon code GOBLIN to get an extra 5% off your order, and you can use the link in the description of the video below to let them know that we sent you, which will hopefully encourage them to continue supporting us so that we can continue producing videos. Our other sponsor for this video is our friends over at the Deck of Many. I'm super jealous right now as I'm seeing some other folks on Twitter starting to receive their Humblewood books. But the box sets are shipping, so hopefully ours will be arriving soon. Humblewood is a new campaign setting that raised more than $1 million on Kickstarter. It's set in and around a magical forest setting and introduces 10 fully realized, animal-based playable races for your adventurers. The fully illustrated setting and campaign book also includes new monsters, magic items, spells, class options, backgrounds, feats, and an entirely new pantheon. There was also a nearly 100-page long 5-part adventure included in the book that will take your adventuring party from levels 1 to 5. Learn more and order your copy today at humblewood.net. Thanks for watching today. If you enjoyed the video, you can support us by clicking the thumbs up button, subscribing to the channel, clicking the bell icon to be notified when we drop new videos, or sharing our videos online with others. Visit our website over at gallantgoblin.com. We have a lot of plans for the site, but we're starting with some news coverage and text reviews that we think you'll enjoy. I hope you're doing well, and I'll see you next time at the Gallant Goblin.